Om Gananam Tva Ganapati Gum Havamahe Kavim Kavinam Upamashravastamam Jeshtarajam Brahmana Brahmanaspata Anaha Shrinvanu Tibihi Siddhasadhanam Vakratunda Mahakaya Suryakoti Samaprabha Nirvignam Kurume Deva Sarvakaryeshu Sarvada Siddhi Buddhi Shakti Sahita Shriman Mahaganati Pataye Namo Namaha Nirvignam Kuru Ya Kundendu Tusharahara Dhavala Ya Chupravastra Ya Vina Varadanda Manditakara Ya Shveda Padmasana Ya Brahma Kshuta Shankara Prabhutir Bihir Deve Sadavandita Samam Patu Saraswati Bhagavati Nisheshadyajapaha Gurur Brahma Gurur Vishnu Gurur Devo Maheshwara Guru Sakshat Parabrahma Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Hi there. I was supposed to go live at earlier, but apparently it never went through. So here we are doing it again at a different place. Hi Mona. Hi Michelle. So the reason I am here today is I wanted to speak a little bit about the Ashtanga Hrdayam, and I also wanted to speak about the future of Ayurveda as practitioners and envisioning a community. And I'm offering for you to just give me any information, any questions that you want, and I'm here to answer them. So before we start, or as we start, and you can stop me at any time, I can see you guys doing this, giving me your questions. I wanted to speak about the benefits of studying the Ashtanga Hrdayam and how to manage the Sanskrit, as well as what it is that, what the logic is of the Ashtanga Hrdayam. So, to start, I was doing some opening prayers, and there are 3 different opening prayers, and they're done in the tradition of the Ayurvedic Institute here in Albuquerque. And those, hi Daniel, those 3 prayers, they first start off with a prayer to Ganesh, or Ganapati, and he is the remover of obstacles. And we're asking for him to remove obstacles from the 3 worlds. So basically my own personal obstacles, things that I know about, my environmental obstacles, like, hi Daniel, like my technology, things that could happen in the space, loud noises, things like that. And thirdly, of unseen things. Finally, then next we went on to Saraswati. Hi Sanghi. Oh, Pauline. We went into Saraswati, and she is the holder of wisdom and knowledge in the arts. And so we're asking that she be present and offer us her wisdom and knowledge in a way that is pleasing to us. And thirdly, we are speaking to the guru and asking the guru to also help us in our knowledge. And this doesn't mean that this is a specific person. It could mean that it is a specific person, but it also could mean that it is our higher self, that person within us, that intellect that allows us to translate different texts. It allows us to choose wisely, and things like that. The guru traditionally is someone who guides us through the world. So the next thing that I'd like to discuss are the benefits of studying studying the Ashtanga Hrdayam. I apologize. This is my first time doing live with this many people, and people are commenting, so it's a little different from what I've done before. So the benefits of studying the Ashtanga Hrdayam, and I've done some notes. So the Ashtanga Hrdayam is a compilation of many other Ayurvedic texts, including Sushruta and Charaka Samhitas. And what that means is those are the ancient texts, and Bhagbat Acharya, Acharya means teacher, Bhagbat is the guy who compiled this together. He put this together so that people in his day and age could understand the teachings of Ayurveda a little bit better. So it's designed to be easier to study, and this doesn't make it any less valuable than the other texts. It just makes it more relatable to our minds today. Just like Dr. Ladd's books are designed to be easier for us to study. So Dr. Ladd has taken the Ayurvedic text and put it into language that we as Americans can understand, as his students could understand, because we live in different times, we live in different places. So he's taken the books and made it specific towards our understanding, whereas the Ashtanga Hrdayam is specific towards an older understanding, a different culture's understanding. But the difference is that the Ashtanga Hrdayam, it has more of the principles, of the larger principles that are more closely related to the earlier texts. So it's like many of us have lists of to-dos and rules for Ayurveda. And eventually we're going to find that those lists conflict with what actually happens. So the reason for studying the Ashtanga Hrdayam is to learn the principles so that we can apply the concepts to those lists, so that we can apply it in any day, time, and place for specific things. I apologize, I'm getting a little distracted. There are people joining that I haven't seen in a long time. Hi Allison, hi Ingrid, and Vered, my cousin in Israel. So we're international now for sure. So where was I? So Ayurveda is meant to be specific. It's not meant to be a set of rules. And so the studying of the Ashtanga Hrdayam allows you to create those concepts, to understand the concepts and apply them specifically. So why this particular, and this is the particular book that we're studying in our Ashtanga Hrdayam groups, and it's backwards because of the camera. So this particular version contains commentaries that have never been translated into English before. And that helped, and those commentaries were done in a specific time, so they applied their social understandings, their sensibilities from that time and place to the study of the Ashtanga Hrdayam. And then what Sanjay Pisharodi, the author, has done is he's done his own personal commentaries on top of that, which relate them more to our time and day. Because today we are studying Ayurveda in the United States, we're studying them in Russia, we're studying it in Africa, we're studying it all over the world, where the conditions are different, the foods are different, but the human being is the same. So we all have similar bodies, but our environments, our specific conditions are different. And that's where we study the Ashtanga Hrdayam so that we can apply that. And now we need to take those concepts and apply them to ourselves personally in this day and age. Does anyone have any questions that you want to ask so far? Okay. So why am I doing this? I'm doing this because I think that it's time and there's a need for understanding healthcare because we no longer have control over food, over our bodies. We offer ourselves to an institution that doesn't necessarily have our best interests in mind. And as Ayurvedic practitioners and students, it's our obligation to know more. It is our obligation to be able to apply this fantastic work to every single day, and to help our families and friends, because we need to know the difference between a cold, a flu, and something else that's bigger. And we don't need to go to the doctor every time there is a little disturbance within the body. So the study of Ayurveda, and it is our obligation as Ayurvedic practitioners, is to educate people to understand that not every single thing is a crisis. Some things happen as change. So the Ashtanga Hrdayam itself speaks about those things, and we get to learn how to do that through it. So this particular book, and it's only volume 1, so it's got 4 chapters in it. And the logic behind the 4 chapters is you go from the biggest concept to a smaller concept. The most important thing to the less important things, and the details of which specific herbs, what time of day you have to do something specifically in, that comes later in the book. In the beginning, what we're talking about is, why are we studying the Ashtanga Hrdayam? Who is this for? It actually gives you the entire concept of Ayurveda, and if you know these concepts, if you follow the greater understanding, you've got it. Unfortunately, we don't quite get it because we didn't live in that time. We don't necessarily have access to those texts. We don't necessarily have access to those great teachers, but we have access to this book. We have access to each other, and we are able to communicate now through the internet. Yay, hello. And really do a really good exchange between people that we know and trust and honor in a way that is safe. So after, when we first look at the Ashtanga Hrdayam, so I wanted to go into a little bit about what the process is. As I said, these texts, they start from a large understanding, large important, to a smaller detailed. So this particular book, we first start off with big concepts, big, huge concepts. What is life? What is the purpose of life? What is the meaning? It reads like a philosophical text. The next thing it goes into is dinacharya. And dinacharya comes more important than any herb or any food, because it's those little things that you do every single day that creates health and maintains health and creates longevity. After you do those things, the next chapter is the dinacharya. And the dinacharya, I'm sorry, I already said dinacharya. Dinacharya, by the way, for those of you who are tuning in and don't know, is your daily routine. It's those little steps. and they are not set in stone that you have to do something specifically in a single day at a specific time. It's helpful to do it a routine, because then you don't have to make choices and waste energy in the thinking process of those choices. But it's not set in stone, because the next chapter is the Ritacharya, and the Ritacharya is the seasonal change. So here we are discussing the changes that happen to the origin. And our lives, our health, longevity depends on how we react to changes. And those initial changes are the changes to our environment, the seasonal change. So that's the next big concept. And finally, we start getting more into the doshas, Vata, Pitta, Kapha, what those things mean, how the body is organized, and things like that. So those are the four. Hi, Sandy. Thank you. Please feel free to ask any questions. This is not meant to be a lecture. I'm hoping to be able to speak to you and answer questions as far as I know. So finally, so that's how the structure of this book goes. And the next volumes and later on, we start getting into more details of specifics within the Ayurveda. So I started a group in October studying the book of the Ashtanga Hrdayam, and it's been really lovely. They've become family. We've gone through a lot on a social level. The elections came through, holidays came through, and the weekly gatherings of face-to-face through the magic of the internet has really, really helped to understand these texts and how we are moving through our lives using Ayurveda to stabilize ourselves out, so that we don't get too stressed out, so that we continue to read and we reach out to family and friends who are important to us, who we have a commonality with. Because in truth, the Ayurvedic community is really very small. We live in this bubble within Facebook that, Daniel, thank you so much for that one. But in essence, that's what we do. We laugh a lot within these groups, even though we want to cry half the time. So we want to. I'm sorry. I'm reading a message here from Marla. You are most welcome for the turmeric and aloe tip, but that's the little tiny piece. We want to know the bigger concepts of Ayurveda and why turmeric and aloe work on that kind of injury. Anyway, to get back to where I was, so we discussed the benefits of studying the Ashtanga Hrdayam, and in the Ashtanga Hrdayam there is Sanskrit, lots of it, and it can be intimidating. And so I wanted to describe to you a little bit of how we solve that problem, because I looked at it sort of like when I was reading Russian novels with these giant names and lots of characters, and I would just kind of skip over the name. And that would happen with me with these texts, is I'd come to a Sanskrit word with lots of letters and no vowels, and letters that come together that make no meaning, make no sense in English, but in Sanskrit it does. So the way we solved it in our text, yes, the group is I'll just Chinnamasta, I will discuss the study group in a heartbeat if you can bear with me, okay? But yes, the study group is open to all, and they're small groups, and we are going to open up a new group on Thursday, and we're currently in the middle of one on Tuesdays. And I'll give you all the information in a little bit. So with the Sanskrit, we slowed it down, and that's how it helped us. We decided to do a call and response. Well, it's not really a call and response, because that's what we do with the chanting. But we would read. I would read something out loud, and they would respond. And we slowed things down, and that really, really helped, because it's not enough just to listen to somebody else speak it. We also found out that you can break up the words. It's okay. We don't need to sound out this giant word. We can do little syllable by syllable. Go back to first grade. It's perfectly cool. We're all in the same boat, and I think that that's what's really important. We also did something that was pretty sweet with it. We also realized that sometimes we didn't understand the word itself, even though it was given in an earlier part. So we gave ourselves permission and the time to go back, find out what that definition was, and then move forward within the text. And that is really, really helpful. And it doesn't matter how many times you do it, because trust me, you have to do it a lot. Anyway, so that's how we dealt with the Sanskrit, and I hope that those tips will help you in your studies, whether you study alone or you study with us. So finally, I wanted to discuss a little bit more about the logic of the Ashtanga Hrdayam and the Vedic texts themselves. So they expect that people have a specific knowledge, and they start from a certain point. And so sometimes that can be overwhelming, because we're not of that culture, and we don't necessarily have that upbringing. Some of us have moved into that. We've lived in ashrams, we've gone to temples, whatever it was that our education was, we've been exposed through yoga. But still, there's a lot left to understand. So I liken it to this concept. It's like giving and receiving directions. We make certain assumptions that the individual has a car or some sort of a vehicle, that they know how to utilize that vehicle, and then we start from the place to give the directions to wherever it is that they're going. We don't give them the directions of, well, you need gas in the car, you have to know how to start the car, you need the key, all of those other things. So these texts do the same thing. They assume certain things, but in the beginning of those texts, they give a little piece of what it is that you need to know, who is qualified to study these things. And qualification is not like a prerequisite, but it's more like having the heart to study, having the love to study, having respect for the work, for the teacher. So those are usually what they're offering. And in other texts, you can find exactly more of those prerequisites things. But here in the Ashtanga Hrdayam, it's the student who wants to study, who wants to know Ayurveda. So it's actually pretty beautiful. And thirdly, so I'm going to get back to Chinnamasta Styles' question. So we are studying the Ashtanga Hrdayam on Tuesdays and Thursdays. So on Thursdays, we're going to start a new group. It's starting on January 12th, and it's going to be at 1:30 Eastern Time, 11:30 Albuquerque time, which is where I am, and 6:30 in London and 7:30 in Amsterdam. I specifically put out those places because I know that there are students out there who are really interested. So that's going to start the book from the beginning. I'm also going to invite those of you who want to jump into the Tuesdays groups to come, and those are done at 10:30 Eastern in Albuquerque, not Eastern Albuquerque. I'm used to living on the East Coast, so forgive me. It's 10:30 in Albuquerque, 12:30 Eastern Time, 5:30 in London, and 6:30 in Amsterdam. And that book, that group is going to start, is working on, we're on page 34, Sutra 1.6, which is the 3 doshas that maintain and destroy the body. So I'm going to put a link at the end on how to join the groups, if you like. And there is a fee for them. I've kept it minimal. But I'm hoping that you will join us, or at least have more interest in studying the great texts, more interest in studying Ayurveda, to become a part of the community. We'd love for you to become part of our small family. And my question to you is, would you like more of these types of talks here on Facebook that just kind of go over the general workings of Vedic texts and things like that? So, unless there are any further questions, I think I'm going to end this particular broadcast. I hope you've enjoyed it. It's really interesting to be alive in these times. I think that we need to learn how to communicate with each other. We need to honor our small groups, our larger community, and I wish you all well. So, thank you. A final prayer. So, and this one is not the same, in the same tradition as the Ayurvedic Institute. I will be posting and doing those later, but hopefully you can join me in your homes. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadhaya Purnameva Vashishyate. Om Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. Hari. Have a great day. See you all soon. Bye.